Good afternoon, good morning. It's Mark Johnson from Loyalty360. Welcome back to our Leaders in Customer Loyalty series, the Brand Stories edition. It's Thursday, so thank you very much for joining us. Today, we're spotlighting a brand that is not just keeping up with customer expectations, but actively reshaping them. Blain's Farm and Fleet, a trusted name for hardworking families across the Midwest, recently took home top honors at the 2025 Loyalty Expo, a platinum award for the co-brand private label credit card offerings, and a bronze in the offer, incentive, and reward design category. These wins reflect a loyalty strategy that is grounded and is also forward-thinking, designed to meet the evolving needs of a diverse and growing customer base. Joining us today is Aly Blawat, Senior Director of Customer Strategy at Blain's Farm and Fleet. Aly is going to unpack the vision behind Blain's Rewards program, how the team is leveraging data and empathy to deepen customer relationships, and what it takes to build customer loyalty that lasts in today's competitive retail environment. Aly, congratulations on the recognition. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Great. First off, for those who may not be familiar, can you give us a brief introduction to Blain's Farm and Fleet? How, why was the company started?
Yeah, absolutely. So we dubbed ourselves as the modern general store. We are a private family-owned company. Claude and Bert Blain pioneered this idea of a discount supply store that was open to the public in order to fulfill their mission of providing quality products to the hardworking and rural farmers of Wisconsin at an affordable price. In 1955, you weren't able to give out discounts. There weren't any loyalty programs available to the public. You had to have a fleet. And so that would be 5 engines or more. And Bert and Claude worked together to make this kind of come to life through the partnerships with the government and what the farmers in Wisconsin specifically really needed at that time. And really what we've been focused on is providing anything you might need for work, home, and outdoor to all of our neighbors across the Midwest.
Okay. So you mentioned fleet. You had to have, I guess, you said 5 trucks in order to be able to give some sort of a discount to someone in the 50s?
Yeah, 5 engines. Yeah, so your
5
truck,
engines.
your tractor, your lawnmower, any other kind of machinery you might need to run your farm.
Okay. Perfect. And out of curiosity, I'm fascinated by different things. How did they go about enforcing something like that? Did the farmer down the road have to show that they had 5 different types of equipment or 5 engines?
You had to show some sort of proof for it. You know, a lot of it back then was more word of mouth and just making sure. And then once you kind of confirmed, they would get a card. So you would actually get basically a loyalty card that would say, you're able to get these discounts now because you qualify.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know we talked about it before. You guys, very customer focused. In your perspective, in your opinion, what's led to the great success?
Yeah, I mean, at Blaine's, we really pride ourselves in continuing to adapt and expand our products and services to meet our customers' diverse lifestyles and needs, all while treating you like our neighbor. We aim to have everything, like I said, for your home, for work, for outdoor, and how that's been changing over the last several decades. We're really close to our customers. We get a lot of feedback and insights from our store associates, from our DC team on what's kind of moving, what's not moving, our contact center team, and really everyone who works at the corporate office spends quite a bit of time in our stores, on our website, to get a feel for what our neighbors are going through and the decisions they're trying to make every day. And we're making pivots in our business to fulfill, that need.
Okay. And one of the things that we're very interested in, always interested in hearing, because customer loyalty isn't really something that's taught in school, right?
Mhm.
We'd love to know more about your role at the company, what you do today, and also how did you get to where you are today? Were there roles that you had? Were you an accountant and said, this loyalty thing sounds really cool? How did you go about getting into customer loyalty?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you first kind of my role here. I oversee customer research, insights, and analytics, as well as the personalization strategy and loyalty program management. So my team really plays this crucial role in the whole organization, and we serve as the voice of the customer. To get here, though, my whole career has been in customer experience, a customer centric type of a role from the very beginning. I started in retail With Kohl's, I went and spent some time at Harley Davidson. But all the roles I've always had have been around customer experience, program management, the marketing technology you might need to fulfill customer experience expectations. I spent a ton of time in loyalty and credit at Kohl's, really building the execution as well as the strategy and a lot of the analytics behind it to measure success.
Okay.
I kind of got through a lot of those things early in my career, and then I spent time in more of a strategy and insights role. So I was customer insights, analytics, and strategy, and I was really focused on the enterprise level, so kind of the large umbrella of what we were trying to do at Kohl's at the time. And then also spent some time focused on the women's apparel business and the beauty business, providing insights and analytics and reporting directly to the buying teams, to the merchandising teams, digital and in store, to really help bring this experience to life. And they all kind of tied together around, I would say, like your long-term customer loyalty, not
Right.
necessarily a program strategy, but how do you get customers to continue to shop and engage with your brand all the time, and whatever that frequency might be, whether they're buying a motorcycle or gear or, everyday apparel and home products like Kohl's had. And now here at Blain's, kind of all of those roles are combined under what my team is responsible for. So it's been really nice to have, a foot in everything everyone's doing. And
Yeah.
I say a foot because I'm not necessarily orchestrating, the day to day, but I am definitely guiding and leading the team to help think both long term and short term. How do we maintain that customer loyalty in a company that, is has been around for 70 years, but also has really loyal customers, but that base is changing rapidly as the kind of agricultural space changes, as country living is changing. So there's a lot of opportunity that I'm super excited to oversee.
Yeah, a bunch of the city folk want to move out to the country and buy some
Exactly.
acreage. It's kind of a challenge. So
Yeah.
very iconic brands that you've worked with, right? Kohl's back in the day, maybe not as much now, but obviously kind of what you did there is very interesting. Harley Davidson, iconic brand, deep customer loyalty. A quick question, just going back to that role.
Yeah.
How often do people trade up in motorcycles? Because I know Harley's had some challenges now with kind of the younger bike offerings. I have a motorcycle and just bought it. It's like my dream bike. I don't ever foresee buying another bike. How
Yeah.
often do people change bikes?
Not often. There's certain customers, the touring customers will get their bike and they would stay on it for years. They'd get it paid off and they'd spend some time with it without having that payment. And then they'd come out with a new feature or something that model they have doesn't offer anymore. So I would say it was probably close to 10 years for those touring bikes. For some of the smaller ones, the Sportsters and kind of more your day-to-day commute bikes, you did
Yeah.
see a little bit more of a conversion there. But honestly, a lot of what Harley was trying to do was to get you into the brand with the bike
Yep.
and then keep you coming back with the parts, with the accessories, with your gear, and your everyday lifestyle apparel as well. So there was definitely an interesting component to what a new customer was for Harley, because it could take a really long time to see someone come back again for that second purchase. So it
100%.
really came back to the accessories.
Okay. Absolutely. It's a loyalty program without a loyalty program, right? But now
Exactly, yeah.
it's
There's not many brands that have, the extreme loyalists with the tattoos
100%.
on them, but Harley's one.
There you go. Absolutely. So when you look at your role holistically, a lot of responsibility, growing an impact, customer loyalty is obviously you guys doing a very solid job with that from employee engagement all the way through. But when you look at some of the challenges or opportunities you face within your role, what are some of the biggest challenges or opportunities that you face? What does keep you up at night?
That's a great question. The main thing for me is and I say we as in retail, we are all trying to attract this new, younger customer to our brands, but we have to be really cautious that we're not alienating our existing core customer who has that loyalty. They are coming back frequently. They are spending lots of their wallet with us. They're very important to the brand, but to attract that new customer, sometimes the message is going to be really different. So the thing that keeps me up is, how bold is too bold? How do we gain that new customer that's going to kind of give us the largest payoff in kind of the investment, in the messaging, the benefits, the experience, that's not going to take away our best customers, and who they need us to be. And how do we do all these things while staying authentic and true to ourselves? We've got old roots. We've been around. People know us in Wisconsin. They refer to us as Farm and Fleet. In Michigan, they refer to us as Blains. But they know who we are, and they know what we stand for, and they know what they can trust us for. And if we make these big changes to attract these new customers who've never heard of us, or see farm in our name and think, well, I don't need to shop at a farm store. How do we break through, into that awareness and consideration stage without, losing who we truly are and still keeping our best customers and our core customers happy?
Absolutely. Blain's Farm and Fleet operates in a very unique cross section, kind of rural living, the agricultural, but also home maintenance, pet supplies. You kind of have a kind of a cross section of great offerings. Retail's changing. The economic situation is kind of challenging right now as well. How do you see your customers changing, and how are you evolving to meet the needs of those customers?
Yeah, and it is changing. We talked a little bit earlier about that kind of big migration to country living over the last 5 years or so. And people are getting a little bit more courageous at things like starting their own gardens, vegetables, flowers, even fruits sometimes, raising chickens. A lot of people they have chickens in the subdivisions. They're allowed to have them, and so they get them, and now they have eggs. They're experiencing this small element of what it's like to be in the country and, to be a farmer. They have their own livestock in that way. Having, multiple dogs and cats, inside and outside, doing their own landscaping, lots of DIY projects. Everyone's a DIYer now, it seems. They might hire someone to do a few parts of the job, but everyone's got their hands in it now. They want to, own what they've done. And while all this is happening, there are actually less people working in the trades. And so, our consumer for Blaine's is changing, because I would say in the last 10, 20 years, it was a first, second, third generation family farmer. Ours today isn't really that anymore. We still have those people, but we have more growth with first-time hobby farmers or homesteaders trying to figure it out on their own. And the farm channel in general is trying to evolve with this by offering, more pet, more outdoor, versus being strictly a farm store. We're all trying to build relevance with all these different lifestyles, even with farm in our name.
Okay. Excellent. So when you look at some of the economic uncertainty now, inflation, supply chain, there's tariffs, not tariffs, there may not be tariffs, there's a war, not a war. It creates some, kind of consternation, kind of noise within the organization, right? So, what macroeconomic pressures are you seeing kind of potentially impacting your customers and their customer loyalty, and even maybe the experiences you're trying to deliver?
Yeah, we're definitely feeling it. Everything you said, inflation, the supply chain, the tariffs, we're seeing the same things that, a lot of the other major players are too. We've got a whole slew of national brands, from Milwaukee Tool, DeWalt, Craftsman, Carhartt, Columbia. We've got all these brands. Some have some component of made in the USA, some do not. Some are facing tariff pressures harder than others. So we're all kind of mixed in with all those too. But one of the things that really sets us apart is our private brand. And we are seeing a lot of success with private brand, and we have for a long time, but we're seeing that as our neighbors are trading down, they are moving to the Blaine's Farm and Fleet brand, or some of our other private brands that we have throughout the store. Snacks and candy, automotive, pet, ag, and apparel. And really when brands or prices are consistent across multiple stores, we're also standing apart because of our customer experience. We're staffed, our teams are trained, we have best in class NPS. Our loyalty members are finding value in shopping at Blaine's. We're seeing a big migration to the website, even in market, where people are really enjoying that experience. Some of the perks that a loyalty member has when they shop online with same day delivery, our drive-through experience with pickup at store, and even shipping to home. We also
Excellent.
have our best price promise, which is our
Okay.
price matching program. And that also helps kind of give that reassurance that we're going to continue to serve them with the fair and honest pricing that we always have.
Excellent. Customer loyalty is all that we do. In very, the people that are in it are very passionate about it, which is awesome. At least most people. When you look at customer loyalty, what does customer loyalty mean to you and to Blaine's Farm and Fleet?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's choosing Blaine's. Even though you're going to pass by several other retailers to get to us, you're choosing us, and you're advocating for us. You're telling people about your experience. You're telling people, oh, I'm going to Blaine's this weekend, or I was just at Blaine's and I saw this and that, and the other thing too. And I went there for you know dog food, but I came out with a whole cart full of other things that I didn't realize I needed until I got there and I walked around. So it's advocating, and it's choosing us. We know there are hundreds of options where you could shop and get basically all the same things that we have, to some extent, but probably not in one place, and definitely not at the same prices, and certainly not without the perks of being a rewards member and getting access to some of the other discounts, savings, fulfillment options, things like that.
Okay. Your reward program, and I know you have a new offering called Farms. How does that support your long-term vision for building deeper, more meaningful customer relationships?
Yeah, I mean, rewards for us is the key to personalization. The data value exchange is what's allowing for those deeper relationships
Yep.
and giving us opportunities to thrive more as kind of that emotional loyalty connection with our neighbors. We have thousands and thousands of SKUs in our stores, but knowing which transaction and browsing history, shopping behaviors belong to each individual customer helps us to tailor our offerings, discounting, messaging to really bring the most relevant information forward so that you don't have to work through the sea of all these things that aren't relevant to you. How do you make sure that Blaine's is showing you what you need to see the most? Not necessarily only the stuff you already buy, but also things that you might not know we have that would complement the stuff you're already buying. With farms, our best customers are buying a lot of things in bulk. And so what farms is doing on the business side is it's allowing us to confidently fulfill those large orders. So we're able to kind of ensure we're going to have the quantity that they need, because these are pretty big bulk orders that are
Yep.
happening every couple weeks. How do we make sure the store that they want to pick it up at is going to have it without over inventory, at a certain location if that customer doesn't need it anymore? All those things kind of tied together, but then where I would say the bow is at the end is the additional touch points outside of our stores. And that's really where our credit card program helps, is kind of having these touch points with Blaine's when you're not with us, when you're at the gas station or the grocery store, doing your other errands that we're not there for. How do we make sure we're still top of mind? And that's
Okay.
where the card comes into place.
That's perfect. How did customer feedback or shopping patterns or some of the data that you talked about, support or influence the development of the farms program?
Yeah, I mean, many of our customers are business owners or farmers. And like I said, they're buying these certain items in bulk very frequently. The Flexible Ag Rewards member subscription, which is farms, acts like a reminder program.
Okay.
So if you're buying 20 or more of the same SKU, we need to make sure, one, we have the inventory to support it when we know you're going to come back and when you need it. But we also want to make sure the customer is confirming that before we just send it to that store or charge them for the order, because the last thing you need is a pallet full of things you're not ready for. So we really put the control in the hands of our customer, with minimal disruption for them. With the program, it's super flexible, in that they are able to skip They can snooze, they can change the fulfillment reminder period. So if they set it for 8 weeks and they want it to be 6 weeks, it acts like a subscription program would without, the actual commitment to purchasing it unless the customer has approved it. And really where that came from is our customers will complain to us about other auto replenishment programs or subscription programs that they're in. I need this stuff, but I don't need it too soon, and I certainly can't wait and get it too late. I've got animals to feed or projects to work on or businesses to run. I need it when I need it, and that's the way it is. And I don't always know exactly when I need it, but I'll let you know. And so our program was designed with all of this in mind. It's really not about maximum revenue and maximum margins. It's more about having that great experience to ensure they can get exactly what they need when they need it from us.
That's awesome. At the 2025 Loyalty X about a month ago, I can't believe it's been that long. Value was a big discussion, right? Value in the brands, value in the program, value internally around the program. So it's a pretty big construct. You've talked about it in the past as well. When you look at retail, sectors like farm, home, automotive, there's some price sensitivity. There's some potentially challenges there. You talked about the private label growth, which is a big push as well. And loyalty dynamics are all kind of shifting. They're a little bit fluid right now. When you look at customer loyalty, look at the success of your program, how has the customer's search for value evolved in recent years, and how is Blaine's responding to that change?
Yeah, I think loyalty and pricing strategies go hand in hand. We don't have to discount all the time,
Right.
and we certainly don't have to do it at mass. Between the margin pressures, MAP pricing, which is a lot of our national brands, are enforcing certain minimums that have to be met or it has to be above. We have to be able to offer our neighbors discounts, differently. So personalization is coming into play depending upon where you are in your journey with Blaine's, what role you need us to play in your life. You'll see the right messaging and offerings to fulfill that definition of value, whether it's through a fulfillment benefit with free shipping or same day delivery, if it's through early access, if it's through actual discounts, for certain items at different times that are unique to you
Yep.
versus, just a price on the shelf. The other place where we've got more flexibility that I mentioned earlier is around private label. And while that's always been a shining spot for us, what we're able to do with the private brand is offer the right quality for that price. We're not racing to the bottom. We're
Right.
not trying to be the lowest price or the cheapest out there, but we will definitely match prices. But with our private brand, what we're able to do is make sure we're fulfilling the quality expectation that goes into kind of that definition of value.
Understood. And when you look at your co-brand private label card offerings, how do those play in that process? And, how do you make sure that they're aligned with the needs of your customers? Because some brands, the card may not be aligned, right? It may be a high tier card and maybe it doesn't serve the customers. But I think you guys have really looked at your customers and looked at the credit card offering and have great synergy there. How do you ensure that you have that synergy for the program?
Yeah, I mean, our co-brand card was launched with the opportunity to award those. They are top tier customers. Our best loyalty customers are shopping us very frequently.
Yep.
But really, what made the difference was we know they're not just shopping at Blaine's. We don't have gas offerings. We don't have all of the essentials for grocery. We've got a great snack and candy, and beverage business, but we don't have, refrigerator with eggs and bread or milk. We don't have those types of things. So we know you have to go and get gas. You have to go and get groceries. How do we continue to reward customers for those purchases that they can then come back and buy the things they want or need at Blaine's, and making sure that our card was top of wallet. So they're earning extra points at all those other locations, in addition to earning more points when they shop at Blaine's. And so while it's a smaller portion of the population that's in the credit card of our total rewards program, they are truly our best and most loyal customers. So those people are getting extra rewards extra benefits, extra discounts on top of the base program. With the base program, there's certainly benefits and things that we have, at Blain's, but once you leave, that's it, right? Like there's no additional touch points outside of the card program to consider Blain's for other things too. So you kind of lose that top of wallet mentality, which is why we're kind of urging and encouraging people to consider our program. We also did a really great negotiation with our card issuer to make sure that we had the best program that really was customer centric and not necessarily, business centric. So it's
Right.
not that it's a revenue stream or it's not a revenue stream. It certainly is for us. But it's more around the experience for our customer. The APR is lower than what you'll see from most other cards. So there's a lot of things that went into kind of tweaking the actual card program to make sure it was best in class for farmers and business owners.
That's awesome. And I think that's a big challenge too. We hear about that pretty consistently within Loyalty 360 is that when you're looking at a new private label or co-brand card, there's two challenges there. There's negotiating with the issuer, right? Do you want to move an issuer? And also,
Mhm.
do you want to potentially move kind of from Visa to MasterCard or maybe American Express? So having that alignment, I think you guys have done a really great job of that. And I also, Best Western has talked about some of the things they've done and kind of aligning their card. They went with kind of a Mercury issuer that's kind of a lower credit issuer. But again, that alignment for the brand is so important. I think you guys both done an amazing job in that regard.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge at times to do those two things because sometimes what your customer needs is not necessarily what your business needs. So you
Right.
have to kind of pick and choose where you're going to sacrifice, for the other cause, and having the boldness to go after what the customer needs really should pay off in the long run because it is part of your strategy.
100%. And I've been using that whole agency issue, right? The agency, the one thing that you learn in marketing, right? What's good for like the CEO is making $100 million a year. He may not be
Mhm.
incented the same way the customer, but agency is
Right.
kind of a big thing right now, and it takes form factor in many different ways. And you obviously saw it here, and you guys did a great job of doing that. So that's great to hear.
Thank you.
What's next for Blaine? So what's next for customer loyalty, customer experience? What are you looking at? What maybe you have an interest in investing in?
Yeah, I mean, right now the we have big investments going on from a business perspective, ERP and digital replatform, those things are kind of underway. But really from a loyalty and customer experience perspective, we are really focused on more advanced personalization, more integrations with experiences outside of Blaine's, and additional ways to earn rewards outside of purchases. So we're focusing in on that emotional loyalty. And while our neighbors already have pretty high loyalty to us, we've got work to do to build that same connection with those newer, younger customers and those like third generation farmers, third generation business owners who are kind of coming into play. We can't just assume they know us like, their fathers and grandfathers and parents and so on. We've got to make those connections and build that trust. And a lot of that will come through the relevancy, the experience, and personalization.
Okay. At the 2025 Loyalty Expo, were there any presentations you thought, wow, this is amazing. It's something I want to kind of potentially get involved in my program, or that's a new way of looking at customer loyalty? Or were there maybe some specific insights that you gathered from the conference?
Yeah, there's at least, well, there's many, but I'll mention two here. So one, Kobe presented on loyalty biodynamics, which is an agricultural approach that takes into consideration all inputs to create deliberate, holistic, self-sustaining farming strategies. And us being a farm channel, I thought that's exactly what we're trying to do, and I need that term. So I loved loyalty biodynamics, and a lot of what Kobe presented was fantastic. I took a ton of notes from them. The other, real tangible element was gamification. It's been top of our list. We've talked about doing different things. We've tested with some things, but really getting into it now, it's definitely elevated again. Seeing the different ways customers are using gamification and engaging with their customers. But I also really loved the like year-end wrap. A lot of companies were doing that and talked a little bit about that recognition and acknowledgement from, the brand to their customers. And I think that's really special and something that would be perfect and on brand for Blaine's too.
That's awesome. Okay, great. What are two or three things you're most proud of with regard to your program?
I mean, how neighbor focused we really are. We're very authentic. We're very genuine. We're true to our roots. We talk about Bert and Claude all the time, while still adapting every year, introducing new benefits and new experiences to stay relevant and fresh. As we've been revamping our program, we know our customers don't particularly love change. And while we launched our program as an MVP, we've been introducing these new benefits and new features to keep it fresh and relevant. And I think that's really helped our customers get a better feel for one, they know we're listening, and we're making these changes because we hear and see what they're saying and what they want from us. So that's been giving us some credibility too. And it just makes me excited to kind of hear our customers talking about it. They will mention the changes that they love. They'll mention the new benefits. They'll mention things and experiences that they get from Blains that they don't get anywhere else.
That's awesome. And the last question, somewhat self-serving, what can Loyalty 360 do to help you and your team? I know you're very active in the community already, but are there things that we can do to help your team and your customer loyalty journey?
I love the networking, the roundtables, the webinars. Maybe having some templates on the website for like loyalty dashboards or reporting, what benchmarks and KPIs, we should be looking at to kind of help us measure our performance versus the industry. Some of those things might be great to have added. But I really do love the storytelling that we get from the interactions. The website is fantastic. I get a lot of great information from there. Having different speakers kind of talk through how they've gone from A to B, what they're hearing and seeing, all of that helps all of us. So I think, the program itself, Loyalty 360 organization, all of the members, it's been amazing since I've been part of it.
Excellent. Perfect. And now we have our wonderful quick fire questions. I think you've done this once before. This is the second set of questions. So I'm very much looking forward to this. How would you describe your work life?
Fulfilling. I'm fulfilled. I love what I do. It's different every day. I love our customers. I feel very fulfilled.
Excellent. If you have a day or a week off from work, what are you doing? And I think we're going to hear this pretty fresh in memory.
Hiking now. I'm
Oh,
on
okay.
this hiking kick. Yeah. So normally I would say horseback riding, which I also do, but hiking is my thing right now.
Okay, yeah, that's what you mentioned before. That's awesome. If you could live in any city, country, where would you live?
Eastern Tennessee or Northern Georgia.
There you go. I'm checking this northern Georgia. Being so close to Kentucky, I have a thing for Kentucky and Tennessee, so I'll
I
check
do
the
love
northern
Kentucky too.
Georgian
Yeah.
thing there. So yeah, that'd be good. If you could go back to school, what would you study?
Probably data analytics,
Okay. What facets of your job would you like to know more about?
finance.
Okay. And is there a facet of the job you would like to know maybe a little bit less about?
Um, I wish I didn't know as much as I do about credit card fraud. Everyone's
Uh,
supposed to be good guys, but there's some bad guys out there.
100%. Yeah, it's a big challenge. You're absolutely right. What motivates you when tackling challenges at Lanes?
Back to just knowing that I'm going to see and hear about the differences we make. Our
Okay,
customers are going to tell us.
that's awesome. And what do you draw inspiration from? What lights your fire?
Whew, kind of the same, knowing that there are millions of people who are trying to live their best life in our country and the United States, and they're doing everything they can, and I get to be part of the solutions. I get to be part of that journey.
Okay. And what's your favorite sport or hobby? I think you just talked about hiking and horseback riding.
Horseback riding. Yeah,
Okay.
horseback riding.
There you go. There you go. And what do you typically think about at the end of the day?
I mean, honestly, I do a lot of like mindful, like just how grateful I am for my family, my friends, my home, animals, my husband, the life that we've built, our animals, work, those things.
That's awesome. Well, Allie, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today. It's always a pleasure speaking with you and getting caught up on the Blaine's activity. You guys are always doing some very unique things, driving customer loyalty to extreme heights. So it's great to hear. So thank you very much for taking the time to share.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. And I want to thank everyone else for taking the time to listen today. Hopefully you're enjoying the Leaders in Customer Loyalty Series, the Brand Stories Edition. Join us back every Thursday for a new edition, and make sure you subscribe and like and keep coming back. So thank you very much.